I don't know if I would say Nataki's not like other schools because I really never thought about the other schools to know, enough to know. Nataki was the vision that we had in 1978. And it really was based on how we were raising our own children. I wanted my children to think about what they eat. I wanted my children to know how to swim. I wanted them to have an appreciation for the arts. I wanted them to be involved in theatrical productions. I wanted them to know language. I wanted them to be comfortable with themselves after knowing themselves as a person, a family member, a culture, a gender, a citizen, and a global citizen, even bigger than that. And I also wanted them to be able to think. You know, we really don't, we're marketed to in this society, and so a lot of the things we just don't think about. I hear of the history a lot of times being talked about, especially during these political candidates when they have to be a part of these debates. And I'm thinking, that never happened, or that wasn't that year, or those people never did that. And I'm thinking, you know, really it's important to have informed citizens and be okay with the history of the country that isn't so attractive. But you have to know about that so that it doesn't keep recycling. But since we don't really know a lot of what happened, it keeps showing up every 30 years, 20 years, whatever, because nobody's ever said, wait a minute, we did this before and I know the signs. So I wanted a very strong history component to the school so that the children would know the difference between what we'd like to say and what is really the truth, you know, because that honesty, it's not about blaming. It's that you can't get better unless you know what you're really dealing with. That's really the whole thing, is to get better.
And you can't know what you're dealing with if you don't ask questions?
You have to be curious enough to ask questions, but then you also have to be honest enough to answer.
This is what I'm gonna do.
Where is the heart at? Like, it's
Somewhere.
They have a big store that sells like.
Also being introspective. That's really I think what we want for the entire country is to be introspective. You know, you'll hear people say, I heard some politicians say, I'd never apologize for the United States and the things they've done. I was thinking, that's really too bad. That's really too bad. I mean, that's like a person in your home, you know, a parent saying, I'm never going to apologize to you all for the things I've done that I'm not. It's like, it's okay to do that. So the strength is misunderstood, I think. And so, I don't know, I just like to think that, yes, we're developing curious children. We're also developing introspective people, because you really have to know about yourself and why you do the things you do so that you can have empathy skills. And our society really doesn't have empathy skills. We have sympathy skills. But sympathy skills are very different, of course, because first of all, not only am I sad for you, I'm appreciative that I'm not in this situation. And so sympathy is a lot more, and that's important, don't get me wrong, sympathy is very important, but it also has the other component of making you grateful for where you are. Empathy, though, on the other hand, has to make me understand your behavior because I've seen it in me. And if it doesn't come in the same clothing, if it doesn't show up the same way, you can miss it a lot of times. And so hopefully, as we educate children, they'll see this is the same thing I do or the same thing I did. It just looks different because the players are different or the costumes are different or whatever, you know, the backdrop is different, but it's the same stuff. The more we can see that we're all part of this big unit, I think the better the world will be, you know, because we have to we decide who people are based on our intentions. You know, if you think about wars that you know that we have and all these things that go on, and the looking at people's resources and being very aggressive about their resources and how they're going to help us, a lot of that comes from really devaluing people and their cultures. We would behave very differently, I think, if we had respect for everyone and knew that we're really all the same. We haven't even, I don't think we figured that even out in our own country, that we're different, sure, but we're really all the same. You know, we all pretty much cry about the same stuff, laugh about the same stuff, worry about the same stuff. A lot alike.
Is there a key or a secret to teaching kids about intention and value?
I think introspection is big. I think also having a broad-based knowledge of things is very important. I think that understanding tradition and innovation is very important. There are a lot of things that we do out of tradition, and tradition is a wonderful thing because it keeps you rooted to something. But innovation is just as important, and they have to be balanced. And the tradition is what keeps things together while you're being innovative, you know, and then pretty soon what you've been innovative about becomes a tradition. But those two have to be balanced, I think, because you can get so, your growth can be stifled tremendously by preserving some traditions that are not really healthy and that are not really very insightful when you think about, are they for the good of the whole? Do they make life better and richer and healthier for others? So I don't know, I think there has to be a balance between those two to really to move on.
There's something about creativity that is easily devalued.
Absolutely, and arts are always problem solving. How will I get to this, to show that tree is a reflection, I see that tree's reflection in the water? I got to think about that. How do I interpret this poem and this dance? It's a lot of problem solving that's fascinating with what people come up with and how people see things, how people hear things. That's just the essence of, to me, of being a human being, you know, being able to. And it's one of those things also that I think we eliminate a lot of the foolishness that goes on in the society when it comes to the arts because, well, the business of arts still may be there, that foolishness, but the arts themselves, if you're good, you're good. I don't care, I don't have to get into anything about your gender or your religious beliefs or your any of those. You're good, you're good. You know, because you have tapped into all of us where we see something in common. And I think that's one of the beauties of the arts too.
The program Liz and Branson are doing, the students paint on scarves. And the talkie, they were painting about their local communities. And then they're sending those to other students in Ghana. I mean, to me, right now it feels like that project, that process is a good combination of a lot of the things you just spoke about.
Yes.
With introspection and creating.
Right. I think so too, yeah.
And it's hands-on? Is that important too? Or?
Hands-on is important, and that the world is small. So, you know, we can just send that right over to you and you right over, and the videotape, and we can talk to each other, you know, all of those things. Yeah, the world is much smaller, and you all are a family. The world is a family.
And how important is it to not only send yourself over to Ghana, but then to receive something back?
Oh, yeah, that's really the essence of, is the recipient. So yes, that's the, I mean, the giver, of course, that's wonderful, but you know, the taker is powerful too. So in fact, both of those, sometimes people are only givers or only takers, and they need to always make sure they know how to do both so that they know their intentions as a giver are honorable and their intentions as a taker are honorable because they know how to do both. But yeah, I think that that's going to be the most exciting thing. I think the more we can make each other tangible and the children feel like I can see you, I can feel you, and I'm a lot like you, I think the more appreciation you have for others. I think it's really important.
Sounds like the way to save the world is to get everyone to connect and understand each other.
I think the way to save the world is to start with yourself and to figure out what you're doing. And then I think in doing that, in that introspection and in that sense of self-management and self-development, I think you are fascinated with people because you've done a lot of work on yourself and you're fascinated with the human spirit. And I think that's what makes you want to be connected to other people and to feel an obligation to be the kind of person that you feel you should be, and to interface with others in a way you really want to.